Hi, my name's Keith Cooper and this is one of my short business of photography related videos. In this I'm addressing a question I was asked by somebody recently. Do I make and sell limited editions of my photos? Do I produce sort of issues, this is 6 of 100 or 6 of 250, or is it, do I do that, or do I have so-called open editions where I'll just print it as and when I need? Good question, because it's related to aspects of the art market, and once you get into the art market you need to understand it locally for you, how it works, for the type of images, prints that you're selling. You also, if you're doing this as a business, you need to think of these as products. Now, whether you actually call them products when you're describing them to people, that's another matter altogether. That's part of how you're marketing things. But the history of it, limited editions, typically in prints, came from the fact that if you were producing litho prints from stones, etched copper, that the print medium, the actual for producing those prints, would wear out over time, so you could only get a limited number of pictures. So you could create a print, you might get an etching or something that was made from an image of some sort, and you'd produce a print, and you could only produce a limited number of prints. Now there was always the matter that you would get a few prints done as artist proofs and things like that, and some people said that artist proofs should never be sold, etc. Never be sold is an interesting thing, because if somebody wants to buy it, why wouldn't you sell it? Well, that's another matter altogether. How you go about your own personal ethical side of what you're happy with, that's something you'll have to fathom out yourself. Worth looking at the market you're in though, because it does vary and there are no hard and fast rules in this. Now, when I was asked about this, it was in context of some of my prints. This particular one I did the other day, a print of a scene in a woodland. This image on the screen here, this is some aspens in Colorado. I've done lots of other videos about aspects of print marketing. So for example, this one's in Leicestershire, this one's in Colorado. I would expect to have a much greater chance of selling this print of somewhere in Leicestershire here than I would necessarily this one of Colorado. Now, might be somebody in Colorado really likes this particular print and can tell from the markings probably which part of Colorado I was in when I took the picture, because of the distinctive markings you get on the trees. Now, they always fascinate me. They look like eyes. You go into a woodland of a grove of aspens and you do get this feeling that you're being watched. Now, that's just a print I like. I don't look to sell these prints. I am not a print marketer. One of the reasons is because I decided that there wasn't the market. Now, I've looked at this aspects of will it sell, can you sell, knowing your market, but this is specifically about limited editions, and you do have to know your local conditions as to whether people do sell limited prints, whether there is a market for them even. Having a limited edition of 50 prints and nobody wants to buy any of them, well, you're just left with 50 prints if you decide to print them all at once. And I'll come back to that. For me, I decided that I simply do not have for selling prints. I do not have the necessary fame to go with it. It helps if you're known, these things. Nor really do I have the kind of marketing experience. Now, Karen does a lot of the marketing for our business, for Northlight Images, training and commercial photography and things like that. She knows the market, but she knows the limitations of what she knows about. So she knows that she doesn't know much about selling in various different art markets. You need to talk to people who understand the particular market you want to get into as to whether it's even remotely worth considering this sort of thing. And also, because it's not a major part of our business, we don't have the sales to justify a limited edition printing. Remember, limited edition printing is fine if you think you're going to sell that limited edition. So I have a limited edition of 25 prints. That assumes that I'm going to sell 25 prints. Or am I just using the limited edition thing to make the prints look more sought after, more valued? There's nobody that requires you to actually say how many of an edition you've you've sold. And therein lies a big potential problem. With digital prints, I'm limited with this print here. I've got the image, I've got a printer that I made it on with the inks and the paper I used. There's nothing to stop me running off 1,000 of these prints. Now, I've no idea where I'd put 1,000 prints like this, but there's nothing to stop me doing it. So let's say for some bizarre reason this print becomes unexpectedly popular and I've put it into a limited edition of 25. Well, do I decide after the first 25 just fly off the shelves like that? That actually, no, not quite right. I actually meant a limited edition of 2,500. Once again, it's about what you're happy with and why somebody buying something off you should be remotely bothered by the fact that you call it a limited edition. What difference does it make for them? It all comes down to the marketing of it. So you need, if you're even thinking of doing this, and I'm going to say, if you are thinking you don't have many print sales and you're not an established name in this area, then the concept of limited editions, you're doing it partly probably for vanity reasons. Nothing wrong with that if it's backed by sound marketing, and there it comes in. To decide whether it is worthwhile doing such editions, irrespective of their value or anything, you need to do some cool level-headed marketing and look at whether your products will sell. Why do you want to do the limited editions, or decide an open edition, whatever you decide that to mean? Why do you want to do it? Are you looking to do it to increase your revenue because you know you're going to sell prints and it allows you to charge a bit more for them? Are you going to do it so that these prints gain some value? Now, if you are in the fortunate situation of people actually wanting your prints, if you are a famous photographer and there was only a few prints produced of a particular image, then that value comes in. But if you're watching this, I'm going to say you're almost certainly not a famous photographer who has a thriving print business, dead or alive. It's not about that. Are you just doing it for the prestige? Do you want to actually raise the value? In which case, if you think you are doing it for that, be pretty certain about whether you are actually getting any prestige, or whether somebody looks at the fact that you've got on your website, or however you decide to sell these pictures in a gallery, that you've got something like, this is a limited edition, this is one of 25. If your market expects that, then great, go for it, and you know you can back it up. But otherwise, if you're doing it just and you've not got many sales, well, look seriously at what doing it. One other bit I will sort of finish off on really is that just because you do all the detailed marketing analysis, look at sales, you know how well your products will shift, doesn't mean that you actually, when you're talking to the punters, that you actually have to, well, you probably shouldn't refer to them as punters really, but if your clients, if you want to do it, or your customers, you don't have to tell them everything. If I want to invent some grand explanation of what's behind this picture or this picture here and include it as some form of artist statement or blurb like that, that is out and out print marketing. You do not have to actually believe in artist statements. Writing them is a knack. I've never liked doing it. I see them as a work of complete and utter fiction, and I'm deeply suspicious of anyone I ever think believes their own artist statements. They are not written to be believed. They're for other people. They are part of your marketing, and therein comes it. So limited editions really comes down to saying, how is your print marketing? Do you know your market? Do you know what they want? What will they pay for? Is it worth doing? You'll need to find that one out for yourself. For me, no, not remotely worthwhile doing. Anyway, I hope that is of some interest. If you've got questions on things like this, please do sort of email me, ask in the comments on the videos, because that's often what gives me ideas for short videos like this, addressing aspects of marketing or other areas of photography. So thanks for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel. It is appreciated, and thank you.